Yeah, and just, this is a great book, which is also in the resource guide. Quite a short, easy to read book by Sami Timimi. And what he's kind of looked into distress, in levels of distress in different cultures, and found that more stable, rooted cultures don't have the same problems with anxiety and antisocial behaviour. Beliefs about what constitutes normal and abnormal childhood are socially constructed, and I guess childhood and adolescence in Europe has changed over the last 100, 200 years. Over 90% of prescriptions for childhood psychiatric disorders are prescribed in the economically developed West. So there are cultures where, you know, this medical model isn't used, where the levels of distress amongst young people are much lower. Increasing access to treatment for medical illness fails to acknowledge the connection between social contexts and distress and the impact of adversities. There's little consideration of the ways in which inequalities of power influence both the nature of adversities and people's responses to them. So that, in a moment, will bring us on to the whole power, threat, meaning framework. Like, if you are experiencing a lack of power, then you're more likely to struggle emotionally. Yeah, and just a mention, I don't think I'd thought of it this way until I started reading around this, but the parity of esteem argument, that mental health should be given the same resources, the same status as physical health. You know, I've kind of thought, yeah, that's good. A lot more is spent on physical health. We need more spending on mental health. But it kind of reinforces that mental illness model of distress as an illness, as almost a biological illness, which I think probably isn't helpful.
Yeah, and that's the bit that's really been questioned when colleagues are saying, well, this link hasn't been shown between the, like the chemical imbalance in the body would suggest much more of a kind of physical disease. And
Yeah, so to give you a very inadequate 5-minute summary of the power, threat, meaning framework, which hopefully will take you to look it up properly. This is my understanding. And I guess one of the things they say in their report is that all societies have procedures whereby the production of discourses is controlled to preserve the structure and convention of that society. And I think our medical model keeps us where we are, rather than questioning what are the structures in society that are leading to people struggling so much. Rather than directing further funding into hypothesized biological causes, we need to address the known and extensively documented psychosocial roots of psychological distress. So that's what they're arguing, that instead of selling the idea that it's a biological thing, actually we need to look at what society is doing to people. So what they do is ask, what has happened to you? So that's, how is power operating in your life? So if someone's been abused, for example, that's what has happened to them, and that's the impact of power. How did it affect you? And that's, what kind of threats did it pose? And they look at how it affected you relationally, emotionally, bodily, socially, in economic terms, in environmental terms, and how did it affect your value base? And then, what is the meaning of those situations and experiences to you? So that's asking the question, what sense did you make of it? So it might be that because of their experiences, somebody felt abandoned or hopeless or invaded or empty or overwhelmed or guilty or abnormal, betrayed, trapped. So it's seeking a personal narrative of what's happened, how did it affect you, and what's the meaning of those. So that's the power, threat, meaning.